Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got a Briggs & Stratton engine from a snowblower, and I'm pretty sure it's blown up, guys. It pulls really easy. The spark plug is in, by the way. So what I want to do today is tear it down, and we're going to find out what went wrong with this engine. Okay, here it is. It's a 1350. It's full of gas. And what I usually check when an engine comes in is the oil. That's what I check right away, because that tells you a lot about what may or not have happened. So it's got lots of oil in there. So this did not happen because there was no oil. Now these engines do have a tendency to blow up whether there's oil in them or not. I get so many of them. There, the throttle thing came off. So what I'll do today is take it apart, and I'm going to show you in a box what I'm keeping and what I'm throwing out. There's a lot of good salvageable parts on a blown up engine, even though it will be stripped. Now, before I take the engine apart, I will drain the oil. Someone has an oil plug over here. That looks like a plumbing plug, which is a good idea. I'll drain the oil, then I'll come back and rip it all apart. Okay, let's get started here. Here's how you get the choke knob off, really easy. I've taken a lot of these apart over the years, guys, because they do blow up often. One way to keep your engine from blowing up is to change the oil regularly in these. They are delicate engines. By the way, one of these is not original to that engine. That was the spacer after the carburetor screen. So somebody definitely worked on this engine before. Two bolts here for the gas tank. And two in the back. Now those fuel tank bolts are good to save because sometimes they do vibrate off. So if you do any kind of repairs, save some of the hardware because it will come in handy at some point. The gas tank is full, so that's why I'm pinching it here. Now to get the carburetor off, you'll need an E5 Torx, external Torx number 5. Now when I save a carb from an engine, I do like to take it apart to see what it's like inside. Now when you take stuff apart, and you can see here that they've basically damaged the screw, that's not a good sign. I really hate to see that. These carburetors are quite expensive here in Canada. They're pushing the $200 mark from Briggs. Now I have heard that you can get aftermarket ones that are half decent from Stens. So have a look inside. There is some gel. And the small jet in the middle here looks quite corroded or dirty. But I think this carburetor will be savable, so I will save that. Okay, this is the throttle assembly here. I always save the throttle assemblies just in case I get an engine without one, because a lot of them don't have a throttle, and that way you can add one yourself. Governor spring, I'll save that. And I do save the dipstick and the tube here. And here's the throttle assembly that I'm saving. I will save the starter. And you can get these starter bolts off with a T40 Torx. So the recoil is still good. They had put some bolts here, but that's fine. So I will remove the recoil and save that. And I'll save the coil. Now see how easy that engine turns? And the spark plug is in it. And I also have lots of mufflers. I don't need any more mufflers. I will take the valve cover off here. Let's see if the valves move. They do move. Again, these bolts on the muffler are AT40. I do not need any more shrouds, so I'll just bend it up because I got to get the bolts off for the head. Lots of hardware when you take an engine apart. Now let's check the push rods. Nice and straight. When they're nice and straight, I do save them. Okay, let's see if that piston moves. I don't think it will. Nope. So definitely the connecting rod is shot. Before I remove the sump cover here, I must get the pulleys off. And these are coming off easy. Man, those are insanely tight today. And I think there's one more hiding. Nope, I think I got them all. I will save the belt finger right here. Now, if you're working on a good engine and you want to save it, I do recommend using a brass hammer or a rubber mallet to remove the sump cover. It's just a softer material when you're pounding on your engine. Okay, there we go. And have a look inside this engine, guys. The connecting rod is all in pieces. Now, what I really hope that is still good in there is the camshaft, because oftentimes the decompressor breaks off of them and they're expensive and unavailable. However, I do think you can get aftermarket ones on Amazon. I've never used them. If you have and they're good, please comment below. The way you'll know if your camshaft is still good is if it's not all scored up on the lobes here. It looks pretty smooth. And the most important thing is to make sure that the decompressor mechanism here still springs back, just like that. I mean, that spring in there is like a hair. You can see it right here. It's so small right there. But if it's good, you've just saved yourself over $100 for an OEM one instead of buying an OEM one. So I will save this camshaft. It was worth getting the scrap machine or engine just for this even. And look at all that pieces coming out. Here are the valve lifters. You can save these if you want. It's not a part that you will often need though. Another part that I save if it's good is the timing gear. You can save the key on the shaft if you want right here. Now I've decided to remove the flywheel because I want to show you the journal where the connecting rod goes on the crankshaft. And because I am not saving this engine or the flywheel, I'm just using a pry bar and a hammer. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses when you do this. Wow, went flying out of the engine. So here's the flywheel. There's the stator, that's what powers up the lights on your machine, and the hand warmers. You might want to save that if you don't have any spare ones in your collection, especially if you do small engine repair. Now in the journal here I can see some metal parts from the connecting rod. That's usually typical. I'm not sure what happened, why this engine blew up, guys. It had enough oil, because I did drain the oil. There was enough oil. I showed it to you at the beginning. My guess is that it over-revved and it just basically blew the rod. There's no other major signs to tell me otherwise. That's all I can think that has happened. Now what I do with these crankshafts is, because I do have a lot, I don't need these, is I cut them right here, and then I use that steel on the lathe to make other parts. And when I have steel from a crankshaft like this, it's really hard metal if you fabricate another part with it. It's really awesome. So when you strip an engine like this, there's a big mess. I'm going to sort out all the parts I'm keeping here, and I'll show you this in a second. Okay, here's what I'm scrapping, all these parts. And the reason, like I said, is because I have multiples of these in my sheds. I'm running out of space, guys. A guy comes about every week here and picks up my scrap. I'm even scrapping the sump cover. I don't need that stuff. I've got the stator here. Not much else that is good on there. Flywheel is good. So this is going to scrap right here. I'm saving the carburetor, the starter, and what's in this box. There's not a whole lot. Recoil, the head, I'm keeping the head because the valve guides are good in there. Covers, and the camshaft and the coil. So probably the camshaft is the best find in this engine. So this is what I typically do here, guys, in the shop. I usually strip down about 4 to 5 of these every winter and salvage some parts. So I hope this gives you a good idea, guys, what to save when you are scrapping an engine. Again, if you don't have any of these for backup, I would recommend to save them. Actually, I might save the OHV cover because sometimes the bolt here that holds like a little guard between the carburetor and the spark plug, the knob that goes here usually seizes and people break off the bolt, and then you've got a cover without a bolt sticking out to put the nut back on. So I will save that. That's about it. Oh, let's look at the cylinder before I end off the video. Can't believe I forgot that. Well, the cylinder does have a bit of scoring in here, but not enough to prevent it from running. And I usually never save the block. I usually never save the piston and rings. They're usually always damaged, as is this one. So this will go to scrap. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you have any questions, just post them in the video below. I can't always get to all the questions, guys, because I'm extremely busy here. But comment anyway, because if I can't answer your questions, probably somebody else can. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day.